Hi, this is the Afterstory. I am Ashok Subramanian, and we are going to look at today the characters who stayed as part of our season 1 Bachelor's Wife and Other Stories. And in this, we are in episode 2, the characters who stayed. So, we are going to look at 4 characters. Okay, now these 4 characters actually move the needle in the epic. The epic needed them and then left them. The story moved on, right? Ramayana is about Ram, so the story moved on. The epic kind of recorded what they did, so it's not that they were left out, but there was a backstory, there was something that moved forward, all of that, but it never captured their moments, what they felt, and I think that's when the book went back to them and then asked, "Can we sit with you?" And then spend that time, that moment, that little thing, and then explore that situation along with the character, without judging them, without judging the book, without judging the original epic, all of that. So today we are going to talk to Shweta in terms of how these 4 characters, Ahalya, Sampati, Indrajit and Hanuman, really play out, and how did the book go back to them, and why were these the characters that lingered. Hi Shweta, we meet again. How are you?
Thank you, Ashok, for having me. So
Yeah,
far, so good. How are you?
and all good, and I think you had a wonderful time in Goa, meeting
Mhm.
our potential readers and book enthusiasts, and of course we will cover something like that in the middle of our conversation today. But coming to this conversation, which is episode 2 of
Mhm.
after the After Story season 1, which is about Bachelor's Wife and Other Stories. So we are looking at 4 characters that linger, which are we chose 4 characters. If you remember our last episode, Ahalya, Sampati, Indrajit, and Hanuman. And all these characters have in a way been suggested by both of us, and these are very pivotal and key characters in our book. So today we will discuss that, right? Uh, so so how did you come upon choosing Ahalya? Because if you and I made this choice together, if you remember, right?
Right,
And then in Mithila, especially Ahalya's story is still very alive. And
right.
how is she remembered in Ahalya? And is she seen as a fallen woman, or a woman with
No, no.
and
Ahalya was never, if
was
I
she
have
more
to, I'm
complicated?
sorry.
There are multiple dimensions to that, because we have done our job in the book, but just to link this with the the traditional aspect of how Ahalya is seen. If you can highlight that, it would be great.
So, yeah, coming to this question, no, she is not seen as one of the fallen characters. In fact, um, she is praised and raised and revered throughout. There are painters who have painted her, there are poets who have written about her. Yet she is one of the most complicated characters if you see her through today's lens, right? So, in that sense, she was one of Panch Mahakanyas, and there is always this mystery around 5 of them. She is one of them, and then people would love to know more about her as a human, not as some fictional character. So, how was she as a human, and what was the story behind her birth, and what happens to her? So there is a little mystery around her, and that's what I guess intrigue people.
Hmm. Absolutely. And if you look at the book starts with her inside a stone. I think we've given emotions and I think life to the stone like a prana pratishtha in a sense. And then she
Mhm.
still remembers her Rajan, Rishi Gautama in that sense. So it starts with her love and a trapped love, if you want to call that, in a stone, So we have kind of brought that out in our book very strongly. So the two aspects, one is we had this question about her in one of our sessions. One of the audience had
Right.
asked for in terms of, in today's time and age, wearing a modern lens or even in that case a larger
Mhm.
lens. Was she probably adjudicated wrongly? Was she judged wrong by Rishi Gautama? And did the Rishi not feel remorse? So what do you think about? I think the punishment that she had to
See,
endure. So,
fundamentally, I'll tell you where people get wrong and where I was wrong also before we created the story. So we tend to believe her as a docile, very naive kind of person. Then we forget that she was a creation of Lord Brahma herself. She was his daughter, and by no means and no way she was a very docile character. No, women that time and that age and that era had their voice. If women did not have a voice, how dare Keikei could influence Dashrath to send Rama to exile? If women were so docile, how do we have Arundhati and then Bhashpati and so on and so forth characters? So the primary mistake that we in the past or readers generally do is to see Ahalya as a victim who did never have her own voice, right? So when we start to read more and research more and know more about her, she was a female who had her voice, who had her choices, and then whatever happened happened because for a moment she also slipped into the lust or the senses, if you may call that so. And she was punished not because she was the sage's wife. She was punished primarily because she was already an example. And once you are already a hero and you make a mistake which would affect the way people see you, the way people expect from you, you were one of those who were going to represent the female for the longest era. And there you made a mistake and you punished for that.
right. And one interesting thing we did was we didn't judge Ahalya at all in our story.
Right.
We
We don't
actually
have to. Hmm.
Our editorial choice, for example, was that we placed the story first, because I think this was your input. I particularly remember it specifically, and it also sets the tone of the collection's moral fabric. That we don't judge, we just witness. We represent the story to the truest of the sense that we understand. If there is a limitation, it's our collective limitation rather than the societal view at all here. So so what I wanted to do is, do you think that we just sat with Ahalya there and then traveled with her rather than trying to
Right.
wear a moral lens on the whole thing?
Correct. Correct. Let's do it.
Right. So if you think that you can pick a paragraph or a small excerpt
Oh, sure,
and
sure,
and,
sure.
and, and and read that, it will be great.
So, so here I am reading a paragraph from the story, The Final Redemption, where Gautama goes back to Lord Brahma, the creator, that now that your daughter is grown, either you take her back or get her married to somebody, so that I'll be relieved of this duty and I can focus on my work even more. And the dialogue that comes out is very, very interesting, and I'm sure the people and our viewers would also like that. So I'll
Absolutely.
start with, so here, uh, Gautama is talking to the creator, the Brahma. I leave the decision to you, Dev. Either I complete my compositions or I continue as Acharya. But take your daughter back. Rishi Gautama raised his voice for the first time against the creator. The creator listens with his usual calm. But he had no time for this. His progeny were all on their own. Nobody. Brahaspati, Narada, Himvan, Daksha, and Saptarishis returned to him, and they figured out their own destiny. But here she was, right back. She was something he did not want to deal with. He was busy preparing for the various yagnas happening across the universe. You should do these, and you should take my daughter. I gave her guardianship to you so that it never come back to me. You are writing one Shastra and you are Acharya of one university. I had the whole universe to handle. You need to make this work. The creator gave this catching verdict on the venerated Rishi. I'm left with no choice but to ask for her hand. She has an insatiable appetite for knowledge, and I cannot keep her with me as she has reached the age ripened for marriage. Either you take her from me or you give me her hand. Gautama stood resolute in the situation that was thrust upon him. So here you see, when Gautama goes to Brahma, neither of them were ready to keep Ahalya. And imagine a plight of a woman when she comes to know that, okay, I'm the daughter of Brahma, I'm daughter of Creator. I know I'm to an extent beautiful. I'm one of the Panch Mahakanyas, and yet nobody else might take her. And then Rishi says, okay, either you take her back or I can take her only if you get me married to her. So that to be in the maybe league of wise men and women. She was not an ordinary woman. And when you know all this about yourself, and yet you find your yet you find someone who is not interested in you in either ways. And now imagine, um, in this whole situation, when Indra comes to her with whatever form he took, and for a moment he showed interest in her, anybody would slip for those few moments. And then she realized what she was doing, and then she, get back in the
Right.
senses.
And
So you need to understand the human psychology also here.
absolutely, absolutely. Well said, well said. So, coming to the second character, Sampati. I think Sampati also was a late addition in our book, but we said we will not write Jatayu. People know Jatayu well,
Hmm.
but Sampati is also very equally important because he's the one who points the direction towards
Right.
Lanka. So he's the elder brother of Jatayu, and he gives up his wings, protecting Jatayu from the sun, and then after that he's grounded forever. Now, many decades pass, and then the Vanaras come in search of Sita, and that is when the old wingless bird they meet him, and then that is when he tells where she is. But he sacrificed everything he was, but still he was not good enough because he went through a time of I would say self pity, and that in turn led to him, the Rishi Nishakara's input finally comes true. When there's a time when you will serve Prabhu Ram, and that is when you'll also be like Sampati, but in a different way. Sorry, like Jatayu and in a different way. So he's a bird that sees far, but he's got nothing to lose, right? Now, Shweta, ideally, Sampati was an outlier in all the characters. He wasn't even fitting into the book because he's I mean, among all the characters, people don't know Sampati. Now, why did he stay in this book? How did we arrive at his character? What are your, I mean, how do you recall this?
So, so my idea of looking when we were writing the book, and when we were making the blueprint, my idea was to add as much unsung characters as we can accommodate in a book without making it lengthy, without uh, disrupting the flow, and without compromising on the epic. Then there was Hanuman, and there was Angad, and there was Indrajit. People know about Meghnad. People know about people know about Kumbhakaran. People know about Ravana. People know about the other characters, but Indrajit was one of the most brilliant warriors in his times, and
We're
yet
talking about
people do not
Sampati.
know much about him.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking about Sampati here.
and yeah, I'm just giving an example. And likewise, people know about Jatayu. People, to an extent, know about Kagbhushan also, which we have not added in the book, but very, very few people know about Sampati and his contribution to
Yeah, so there's a
Ramayana. And
glitch. So, second is that, I think after he discovers that Jatayu is nowhere to be seen, he goes into a mode of self-deprecation where he feels that without a wing, an eagle like him can do. And he felt that he sacrificed his wings for Jatayu, but and feels that. Jatayu did not turn up for him till he hears about Jatayu's death from the Vanaras, especially Angad, Hanuman, and Jambavan. What do you think of a character like that? Who has sacrificed, but is completely disabled, and it's a long wait till
right.
till almost at the end of his death. What do you think
But
of such a character?
imagine a situation for the longest time of your life. Are you are anguish and little hurt of what you feel your brother has done to you, right? And you live a very secluded life. You are um, old and fragile and handicapped, and for the longest time you live in the recluse, thinking what your brother has done to you without knowing what was happening in between. And suddenly when you get to know the heroic act of your brother, and now he is nowhere to be seen, all that anguish comes out in the form of tears. That, okay, I was probably wrong, and that brotherly loves melts you. And then you realize, okay, my brother died a heroic death, and in my capacity, in my own capacity, let me contribute to whatever I can now, to as a mark of respect for your brother's valor and his sacrifice, and not letting his death go in vain. So, okay, here's what has happened, and here's what I know. And there you'll find Sita. And in the larger scheme, probably his contribution was hardly 1 or 2%, but nonetheless, it was there,
Absolutely.
and people should know about it.
Right. And coming to my favorite character in the book, which is Indrajit, uh, I think I would say that I grieved for him. We know him as a uh, warrior par excellence, but after I wrote the story, I told this in other events also. I grieved for him. So I
And
have.
many of our readers have felt for him.
because he's the most gifted warrior in Lanka, and he know that at that moment, that day, that morning, the war was lost because I think Hanuman did the Sanjeevani thing and brought Lakshmana back to life. On 3 days he wins, and then finally, it is not easy to defeat Maharathis like Rama and Lakshmana thrice over, and then he knows that it is still not working. So that is when he knows that he sees things clearly that his father does not. He knows that the war has already been decided at that stage. It's only a matter of time. And then his father's pride, comes. It will not allow that one thing, that is return Sita, where he asks his father that morning to return Sita, and his father would have none of it, and then calls him traitor. So this is one part of the story. The second part of the story is he fought anyway, right?
You're right.
He fought anyway, knowing that he was called as a traitor by his uh, father, and then his father-in-law would kill him, and his wife knows. I mean, the curse was there, obvious. So, knowing all that, to go through the day just to do your duty, and then the love between Sulochana and Indrajit. I think this is a story that sat with me. He was killed.
Right.
He was killed when he was at his most vulnerable. So, Shweta, one question, right? Why would someone fight a battle? In his mind, it is still a battle, but for the wrong cause, but still stay in the battle. And what is that about Indrajit that we are not able to let go of after this understanding of Indrajit?
Right. So the Indrajit story is classic case of highest form of dharma sankat, When you know that you're going to lose, you're going to die, you are not at the dharma side as a warrior. But then again, you are the same person, the same character who also has to follow the putra dharma. So that this is upon me from my father. I cannot leave him alone. Then when one of his brothers has already left his side, another one is dead probably, and
You're sleeping.
he would be alone. Yeah, is sleeping, and would eventually he also is going to die.
Yeah.
The day he'll enter the fight, he's going to die. But still, you are here to represent your father. And then he had that dialogue with Ravan, and he eventually got called a traitor, which he was not. He was just trying to um, convince his father that this is the last time. Either give up on Sita or you'll lose everything. But Ravan being Ravan, and his vanity and his ego. So here you feel with the dilemma and the tug of war between the thoughts and the duty that he's going through, and which is very very difficult uh, situation. But at the same time, reader probably could relate to it because there are situations in our life when we are on a crossroad and at least once in a life we are here between what we want to do and versus the duties, and probably that's what touched the readers most. So when people got to know the human side of of a demon, maybe of
Right.
Meghnad, who he was. uh,
Right. Right. No, and there is we see his arrogant side also when he takes on
and
Sheshnag.
we
We see
and you
that.
are seeing the world's greatest warrior in his vulnerable moments.
Absolutely. Now, coming to the fourth character of today, Hanuman. Hanuman is
Ah,
most
my
celebrated.
most
Apart,
favorite.
yeah,
My most favorite.
absolutely, and he is like, you have Hanuman Chalisa, the people who recite Hanuman Chalisa almost every day, it keeps the demons away. But we caught his action just before he became famous. So right from the time he meets Ram till he takes that leap, from there onwards, we see his heroism. We capture him at that moment. Before he takes the leap. In the leap of faith story, where you feel that he's uh, uh, undecided, he's not sure, uh, he has self doubts, and then it took the final word from Prabhu Ram himself to make it happen. Now we just find him just before the leap. It is not the triumph that we celebrate, but it is just the moment before it. Do you think that it is that edge, and that defines the book in its finest moment?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are thousand things which we can speak about Hanuman, and yet we can never be done with him. Now, Hanuman in himself was all the divinity, but he was Shiva, and he was, um, Ansh of Shiva, and he could have ended the entire Ramayana on himself. But you see the modesty and the humility of that character, not Shiva, the character that he was meant to play in this entire epic was to be the sevak and bhakt of Ram, you know, and I would not do an ounce extra. I would not do an ounce lesser. I will just do whatever is expected out of me in that situation.
Yeah, I think this is a fine role play, and we know that the highest form of devotion without selflessness is, I think not. I think it's a very Indian. It's a very Indian thing here, right? Bhakti tradition, where complete surrender is the highest form of
The
self-realization,
100% surrender, right? So
and
I am not even, so for Hanuman, I am not even parallel to Rama. I'm nowhere where Rama is. I am just his sevak. And you know, when we talk about bhakti and when we talk about seva, there are three kind of sevaks. One who would do after their masters, orders them to this. There is a second kind of sevak or there is a second kind of bhakt who would do what is expected out of them. And there's a third kind of the finest kind of sevaks who know what their master wants before their master even think of it.
right.
So that kind of category was Hanuman from.
Right. So, and we know that all of that after this moment that we have captured, we
Correct.
know he has been exhibiting those characters, like, during the Bali situation, building the relationship with Sugriv, then, going around searching for, Sita Mata, all of that. But this
Sita.
moment, this moment when Hanuman steps up as the only one who
As
can do things, the hero,
correct.
as a hero himself,
The hero in the situation, yes.
and that is, and that too going through a crisis of faith, confidence, and then that little leadership that Lord Ram shows,
Right.
that Hanuman, you need to
So
just
here also he was being the greatest, yet he was going through that self doubt because of the abhishap that he has had in his childhood. And
correct.
he had this self respect unless the Rama steps up and shows his confidence in Hanuman.
And that is a very good leadership lesson,
Right.
by. So I think it's good that we covered all the four characters. This is like a good revisiting of our characters, and as
Characters in the
promised,
book.
we covered two of the characters that you loved in the book of them all, Ahalya and Hanuman. So
Hanuman.
thanks, Shweta. I think next time,
Yeah, thank you, Ashok.
we will cover what we call as righteousness leaves a scar. That is, being right doesn't mean that you will not suffer the consequence, and we see that in
Right.
this book in many instances, which we'll cover. So
Yeah.
Shweta, again we will meet episode 3 on this topic, righteousness leaves a scar. So till then, thank you for your being here, and thanks for your interesting insights. So as this was an interesting conversation with Shweta, right? So we got our perspectives of how this book played out these four characters, how we looked at them, and how we feel that the readers would also connect with these four characters. So we have built this book with similar characters and situations. Now, tell us which characters do you like out of these four, and if you want more, happy to answer them through any of my social media connections. You can find, so like and subscribe the channel, and follow the episodes in Afterstory. So next time we are looking at righteousness leaves a scar. Now that is something that dharma is not emotionally neutral. There are consequences, there are residual effects on the character, and there are unexplained and unresolved questions. This book addresses that very clearly. So we look forward to episode 3. Till then, this is the After Story.